the NXT rookies. We've seen NXT for many weeks now, and we've sort of grown to like some of the guys, the Heath Slaters, the Skip Sheffields, and then many others like Michael Tarver, and of course, not to forget, Daniel Bryan. But it looks like now that NXT is in fact going to be finishing this fall. There is no word yet, I think, on what network it could possibly end up on. I certainly haven't seen any offers, but the question I would like to ask both yourself and indeed the chat room or listeners at home: what is going to happen to the NXT rookies? We've had lots of television time for these guys. There's quite a few of them. So can they all be accommodated on Raw, on SmackDown? I'm not quite sure. So I'm worried about some of those guys. I want to see Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan be pushed and maybe end up on Raw. I think when he had the match with Batista a week or two ago, it was a great push for him. They gave him a new shine and they gave him a competitive match. Let's talk about Heath Slater. I mean, Heath Slater, he is the one-man rock band.
Yeah, I think he'd be one. I'm surprised that really is still in the game, but then I can kind of see why, because of these win and lose record situations. But it is going to be funny to see what they do, because they've become so, I suppose, what's the word I'm looking for? They're kind of part of what's going on really across the board. You see him pop up on Raw, you see him pop up on SmackDown, and then there's a full show with all those guys, and they've really kind of grown you, you know. But Michael Tarver, good luck. I don't really want to see him on TV. Heath Slater, something about him that kind of interests me, but then again, you know, you have your Darren Youngs and you have your Justin Gabriels. And really, I just don't know what they're going to do with these guys once this ends, and what's going to happen to Skip Sheffield next week. Is he gone? Is gone forever? Because that would just be the worst thing ever. I thought he was as cool as could be. Skip Sheffield was a funny guy, entertaining, good in the ring, and you could get some juice out of that gimmick, definitely. But I don't think Heath Slater has much to bring to the table. And then, of course, the big breaking of kayfabe, as I was calling it this week on NXT, with Daniel Bryan, and the whole Daniel Bryan was an NXT product, and how he was Bryan Danielson and the King of the Indies and big in Japan and all that malark. So that was nice to see, and it's good to see them really breaking the kayfabe situation down. Not it's just something you don't really see on WWE, I think, ever. And it's been a long time since they've done it so obviously, but I thought it was brilliantly done, and I really just goes to show that he's going to stick around even though he was the first one to be eliminated.
Yeah, it's the reality TV situation that makes me very cynical about NXT. From the get-go, the guys were introduced with flashy video packages that were very reminiscent of, we'll say, a Survivor introduction video for a reality TV contestant. And that then brings that point about how reality TV can be so disposable. Now, if they've just literally said, right, we need to cast a reality show, and they've looked at developmental, they've seen a couple of guys knocking around. Maybe some guys they have some hopes for, but you have to think that maybe one or two of those guys were basically in it for NXT, and maybe there's nothing else coming down the line. I'd love to know what those plans were when they were formulating the idea for NXT, but I think there's some disposable fodder in there, unfortunately. I honestly can't see Darren Young spending years and years in the WWE unless there were some radical changes. I've seen his matches and I honestly can't remember a single thing about them. I mean, other than that sort of head shake, what does the guy do? But if I was to talk about good, positive parts of NXT, I think Wade Barrett is a fantastic guy for working, for, I think, that look that he has, and indeed the matches we've seen him on now. He made Cena look like crap. I mean, he certainly didn't do a hell of a lot, but you know, Cena did come out on top, but I think he sized up to Cena, and they put a guy like that in the ring with Cena. It's kind of to see whether he can look the part on screen with him or not. I mean, they have to be thinking one day we'll have a Wade Barrett Cena situation, but I think Wade Barrett could be somebody who might stick around.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of early Triple H when he came in with the Hunter Hearst Helmsley gimmick a little bit, and they definitely saw potential with that, and you can see where he is now. But Barrett delivers on all accounts, I think, and he showed it in that match with Cena. And on the mic, he's just natural. He's very, very natural, and it's kind of a rare thing with some of the other guys. Heath Slater's a little bit putting it on with the gimmick, and sometimes overdoes it a little bit. Justin Gabriel kind of just in the goo-goo a little bit, lost in the mix. Skip, funny as fuck, he should be. They should keep him around. Bryan Danielson, obviously, is going to go down that route with that whole gimmick. Who else we got? Michael Tarver, couldn't give a flying. Just it does nothing for me whatsoever. And A-Lister Tunga is a keeper, I think. Good on the mic. He's got the build. Batista too. He's there. But getting back to Darren Young. Does nothing for me, and hopefully I think he'll be the next one to go.
I can honestly see that there's a swerve, a reversal going on now. When you hear about guys getting eliminated on NXT, I honestly think the guys that you see eliminated are actually the guys that the office might have some hope for. As strange as that might sound, I think they're pulling them off that early so that they can put them somewhere else. So I wouldn't be kind of concerned when I see maybe one of my favourites getting released or at least ejected from NXT, because there you go, it is a reality TV situation. But let's not worry too much also about the guys who maybe don't get the old kick or are there for a little while more, because we know that there's a place for them in Florida Championship Wrestling. I mean, just look at Kurt Hawkins. Kurt Hawkins, along with Zack Ryder as the Edgeheads. Well, Kurt Hawkins had a long run. He was running in on WrestleMania main events with the Edgeheads and Vicky Guerrero, and now he's back on FCW. Now, I know the rumour was that he actually requested to go back there. Maybe he saw the writing was on the wall. But in any case, I think these guys do have somewhere to go. But I suppose if I was to say, who I wanted to say maybe would stay, I'd definitely like to see Bryan Danielson, Skip Sheffield and Wade Barrett. I think if we came out of NXT with those three guys and we came out of it with something.